The Honourable Nanaia Mahuta.
Mr Speaker, I'm a bit concerned following that speech because while it may sound quite genuine in intent, were it not for the fact that the government's happy to give New Zealanders a say on the New Zealand flag, but not happy to let them know what's in the TPPA.
That's right.
There's a kind of a lack of prioritisation about what is important to New Zealanders. The government is happy to let New Zealanders have a say on which flag represents the symbols that are important to New Zealanders, but they fail to recognise that family poverty is rising under their policies. Where's the priorities? Mr Speaker, I'm a bit concerned about the way in which this matter has proceeded through the House, but we have to come back to the bill which seeks to insert the red peak option as a legitimate option within the context of the referendum that will be had. Now, I listened very carefully to the debate, and I think people who are trying to make up their minds will consider all the options with some very fundamental questions. Does the flag represent just a symbol of our identity, or is there something more meaningful to those symbols that we can hang our hat on, that we can say truly represents the future of New Zealand, that New Zealanders can say actually defines the type of country and nation that we belong in? And I think not. And the simple reason is that no matter what option is put in front of New Zealanders, they have not been given the fundamental choice of whether or not they want this question to proceed. And Labour has continually highlighted that the legitimate approach to putting a referendum that would give New Zealanders a true sense of control over the type of debate we're having as a country is, should we have this referendum around the change of flag at this time, yes or no? The thing that I'm more concerned about, Mr Speaker, is that Labour's got an SOP sitting on the table because we're really worried about low turnout on a question so fundamental as a flag which is a symbol of our identity. Now, I hesitate to quite a high degree on the basis that postal referendums generally have a low turnout. But of a matter of such significance, one would expect surely that a 50% turnout would be the bare minimum to have a convincing mandate to proceed with such a significant issue. Because here's the thing, in the 8 years of national government, they're happy to start a constitutional debate but not end it. And if they were going to finish or continue in a genuine way with a constitutional debate which forms the pillars of what this nation stands for, we would have had that and then be debating the issue of which flag should be representing our identity as a country, our proud identity as a country. Mr Speaker, I have no personal affinity to any of the choices on option. In fact, as a Māori, as Waikato, as Maniapoto, with heritage in Ngāpuhi, I'm very proud of our navigating history. I have some leaning towards the Southern Cross as the Zenith Star for New Zealand, Mahutonga, but again, what would underpin any legitimate choice in my frame of mind about who we are as a country, where we are in the Pacific, would certainly actually have a constitutional foundation underpinning it. Mr Speaker, we should be debating the increasing level of family poverty in our country. We should be debating the high levels of domestic violence and the high rates of incarceration of young people. But instead, we're having this debate about adding another flag, albeit a win for the Green Party, but this is more than just choosing a flag. This is about the symbols of our identity, what we stand for, what we value as a country, and what is the legitimate priority of a government that cares for the future of New Zealand. I think the priorities are wrong. Mr Speaker, the way in which the referendum will be put to New Zealanders is in the wrong order. We've already raised those issues in previous debates. But importantly, if the government is absolutely assured of its conviction to continue down this path, there is one simple measure. Will it have a convincing mandate with which to proceed with the choice of a new flag? I think not. And here's the thing, the Rugby World Cup is on at the moment, And I'd much rather think that when the Prime Minister watches that final, hoping that New Zealand's in that final, that when those fans hold up the silver fern, he'll take that as the mandate to change the flag of New Zealand, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't. There are much more deeper, more pervading matters that should lead a government to say why they're changing a flag, what it represents, what are the values, but more importantly, the constitutional pillars that form a sense of purpose around what's the motivation for change. And it's simply not there. It is a facade. It is a love fest with a symbol that will represent very little. It will lead to a confused outcome. There will be a lack of mandate for the choice of something so important. And I only point to the country who really met some of these deep challenges with some conviction, and that's South Africa. Prior to the changing of their flag, they looked at their constitution very seriously. They dealt with some of the most difficult issues of apartheid and urged their nation to look forward beyond tribalism. But they hung the choice of a change of a flag in their constitution, and that was why people can stand, South Africans can stand and hold on to their flag and say, this is what it means for a new South Africa. This is the country we belong to, where we can look beyond apartheid and the negative parts of our history to a future of opportunity. This government cannot do that for New Zealand.
I'm going to ask